A hot water service suspension email made me suspect my husband was cheating, and when the truth is out, it broke me down completely. Hey everyone, today I'm going to tell you how my life, the life I thought was absolutely perfect, came crashing down, all because of an email. My name is Sarah, I'm 40, and I've been married to Adam for nearly 2 decades now. We've got 2 amazing kids, Liam, my 15-year-old son who's deep into his rebellious phase, and Chloe, my sweet, wonderful 10-year-old little angel. Adam, my husband, is a real man. He's the backbone of our family, a role model as a dad, and a husband I always trusted completely. Throughout our nearly 20 years together, including dating and married, he told me he loved me every single day, and he always made time for me and the kids, no matter how busy he got. Everything felt like a dream. We'd built this perfect home together. It's the place I poured both my whole heart and soul into. But that's just what I thought. In the past few months, I started getting this feeling that something wasn't right. Adam was just distant somehow. For about a year now, he'd started going out more, spending more one-on-one time with our son Liam, even getting excited about playing soccer with Liam's new teenage friends instead of hanging out at home with the whole family. At first, I just figured it was me overthinking things, how women sometimes just imagine stuff. But like always, I still told Adam what was on my mind. My husband and I always talk to each other honestly, with no hiding anything. Adam, are you still happy being with me? Are you getting bored of me? Hearing my worries, he just looked at me, smiled gently, and said, "You're overthinking it again, Sarah. I still love you. I'm still happy. It's just that hanging out with the kids lately makes me feel young again. I promise I'll spend more time with you and the kids as a whole family from now on." Hearing that, I felt a little reassured, but that uneasy feeling just kept lingering in the back of my mind. Until that fateful day, the day that one weird email exposed everything. It all started to crumble right there. That day, my husband was on a trip with our son and his younger brother Robert, visiting my son's grandmother in upstate NY. I was just tidying up the living room when Adam's iPad, which he'd left behind, suddenly lit up with an incoming email. The content of that email was pretty mundane, really, just a notification about a temporary hot water service being shut off due to some repairs. But the weird thing was, it came from the management of some random apartment complex. And my family, we haven't rented a place in over a decade, not since we bought our current house. That strange detail was like a switch that flipped on every anxious feeling in my gut, igniting all those messy thoughts I'd been trying so hard to bury. Even though he'd promised to change, lately, about 4 or 5 months now, Adam, he's been a lot different. Not worse, but it's something far scarier. It's like an invisible wall has formed between us. He started finding every excuse to get out of the house. Adam and Liam always had their man time, going to soccer games, fishing, and yeah, that's a good thing, right? But recently, those outings became way too frequent. He also started coming home later, saying he was working overtime, and then every now and then he'd surprise me with gifts. At first, I was thrilled, thinking he was being thoughtful and really changing. But now, looking back, it feels more like those were just sugar-coated candies to make up for something more shady, something that made him feel guilty enough to do some made-up for me. All those swirling feelings, combined with that weird email, made me call Adam right away to get to the bottom of it. The cell service was terrible, but I finally managed to explain my whole concern to my husband. And what did I get back? Adam just flat out denied it, neat and tidy. "It must be a mistake, honey. Yeah, they probably sent it to the wrong email. Service is bad, I'm hanging up now." I tried to send him a picture of that email just to be sure, but it wouldn't go through. So, with an overwhelming sense of dread, I reread that email. I checked everything to make sure it wasn't a scam. The phone number, the email address, the apartment management company's logo, everything matched their website perfectly. There weren't any other emails from that same management address in Adam's inbox either. I remembered how meticulous Adam is. He always clears out his old messages, and he's always been super careful with his personal information. No way would he let his email get onto some random, irrelevant list. So how did they have Adam's full name spelled out perfectly, right there in the email content? That night, my heart full of questions, doubt, and fear, I couldn't sleep a wink. I knew the best advice for me right then would be, just calm down, Sarah, wait for Adam to come home and talk to him. But how the hell could I calm down? Sit here and wait until Saturday while those horrific thoughts just keep swirling in my head? No way in hell. I'm not the kind of woman who sits around and waits for tragedy to hit. I needed the truth, and I needed it now. I called Emma, my absolute best friend. Emma's the kind of friend who you just have to say one sentence and she instantly gets what's going on and is ready to jump into the fire with you. And Emma came right over. I told her everything. Emma listened, no judgment, just pure indignation and resolve in her voice. "Calm down, Sarah," Emma said, her voice firm. "We're going to get to the bottom of this. First, why don't you try sending an email back to that apartment complex?" Following Emma's advice, I sent a message to the apartment complex telling them that I thought my husband was on their email list by mistake. What we got in return was just an automatic email sent back that told us they were out of the office until 10:20, and then general rent information pricing, 1 bedroom $1,600, 2 bedroom $1,900, and that there were no open units available. That apartment complex was only a 15-minute drive from us. But how the hell do you find the exact apartment among a whole jungle of units? That's when Emma, my friend, suddenly flashed a cunning smile. "I've got a way," she said. Emma, my best friend, is an absolute genius. She came up with the most insane idea. "Sarah, I'm going to call emergency maintenance," she said, already dialing, her voice instantly shifting into that of a naive delivery girl. "I have a food order worth over $100 for Adam W., but the customer forgot to fill in the apartment number." The guy on the other end didn't seem to understand English very well, so she had to repeat herself a few times. I sat there beside her, holding my breath, my heart pounding like crazy in my chest. God, please tell me that there is no Adam in that apartment complex. Then finally, I've heard a slurred, hard-to-understand voice, but clear enough. "Oh, Adam? Apartment 3B? Apartment 3B. So Adam really did have an apartment in that complex. Emma and I just stared at each other, speechless. My eyes were glued to Emma's, and I could see the fear, the disgust churning in her own. A cold shiver ran down my spine. It wasn't speculation anymore. It was the brutal truth. It was already really dark outside by then. We didn't say much on the way there. Now, we weren't looking for answers. We were collecting evidence for my husband's crime. Just that thought made my heart bleed. When we got to the complex, I saw a kid's bike in the first-floor hallway of that building. And then I saw it. A dark blue, older model car that I'd occasionally caught a glimpse of parked a few streets from our house on those nights Adam claimed he was working overtime. Everything started connecting in the most disgusting way. Emma knocked on the door of apartment 3B. A young woman, probably in her early 20s, maybe mid-20s, answered through the doorbell camera. She looked pretty ordinary, to be honest. Emma asked if there are any Adams living here. The girl just said, "Adam's not here." Nothing more, nothing less. But the way she said the name Adam, it was terrifyingly familiar, just like how Adam used to call my name. As we turned to leave, I glanced back. She was standing there, staring at us through the window, her eyes full of scrutiny. She knew Adam, and she was living in that apartment, the apartment Adam had dismissed as a mistake. Back home, I immediately grabbed my phone. Hundreds of calls, thousands of endless ringing tones. I called Adam 1,000 times that night, desperate for connection, desperate for some tiny sliver of hope that this was all just some goddamn misunderstanding. But all I got was a shaky signal, then it suddenly cut out. The number you have dialed is currently unreachable. The automated voice just kept repeating like a mocking echo of my despair. That damn upstate New York, the phone service was unbelievably awful, and Adam, that bastard, had cleverly used that very excuse to avoid me, to dodge the truth hanging over him like a death scythe. But I wasn't going to sit still anymore. Never again. Adam was my husband. He was the father of my children. I had given him everything, my trust, my love, a whole family. If he dared to lie to me so brazenly, if he dared to live such a disgusting double life, then I was going to hear the truth from his own damn mouth. I didn't need advice from anyone about calming down or waiting. I wasn't going to sit at home crying, tearing my hair out like an idiot. I wasn't going to let myself drown in this pain alone. No sooner said than done. I told Emma to help me watch the kids. Then I immediately rushed to my car. I was driving straight to upstate New York, through the night, through anything that got in my way. I was going to confront him myself, confront the man who betrayed me, and I was going to rip that fake facade right off his face for the whole world to see. He lied to me. He lied to our whole family. Now it's my turn. It's my turn to expose this truth. I floored it, driving straight to my mother-in-law's house in the dead of night. No hesitation. The road stretched endlessly, each mile a fresh stab to my heart. My breath came in ragged gasps, my chest aching with every beat, but I wouldn't let myself cry. Tears were a luxury I couldn't afford right then. My mind held only one thought: confrontation. As I turned onto their street, my headlights swept across the house, illuminating it starkly. Adam's familiar car was parked out front. He must have seen my car from a distance. He didn't hide, no. He stepped out of the front door, slowly, deliberately, like a condemned man walking to the gallows. His face was ghostly white, stripped of its usual smugness or confident ease. Adam looked at me, and the first words out of his mouth, those words sealed everything. "You went to the apartment, didn't you?" I just nodded and looked at him. There was nothing more to say. Adam knew. He knew that I knew. I didn't need to scream or expose him. That one sentence was enough. He was silent for a moment, then said, "Well, I guess we need to talk." And talk we did. It was a long, drawn-out conversation filled with his pathetic lies, my gut-wrenching sobs, and my burning hot tears. It all played out right there in his mother-in-law's front yard under the stunned gazes of my mother-in-law and his brother Robert. They were both there, and I could clearly see the horror etched on their faces. My mother-in-law buried her face in her hands, collapsing, while Robert held his mother and just stared at Adam like he was a complete stranger, his eyes blazing with anger and disappointment. Adam confessed everything, his voice faltering, filled with utter cowardice. Yes, he had a girlfriend. Her name was Anna. They'd been secretly seeing each other for 4 long months. And here's the most messed up part. Anna, that young girl living in that apartment, actually believed we were separated and in the process of getting a divorce. Adam had lied to both of us. He'd created a perfect double life. On one side, the devoted husband and father at home, and on the other, the free, single guy in that damn secret apartment. He used Anna as an escape, a hideout to bury the truth that he was a pathetic coward, too scared to face his own marriage. I looked at my mother-in-law, then at Robert, and I saw them crumble. They couldn't believe their son, their brother, could do something so utterly disgusting. The way they looked at Adam wasn't with familial love anymore, but with profound disappointment. Adam didn't just shatter our little family, he destroyed the trust of his own mother and brother. I couldn't stay there another minute. I couldn't stand to look at that repulsive human being for one more second. I turned my back, my legs feeling like lead as I walked away into the late night. I drove to a nearby hotel. That very night, even though my emotions were still a chaotic mess, I started taking the first steps to reclaim my life. I emailed a divorce lawyer. I looked for a therapist to help me and the kids get through this shock. And I contacted a financial advisor to secure our future. The world I believed was perfect had crumbled to dust in just one evening. But at least I could, with my own hands, start rebuilding from those ruins. This was just the beginning of the fight. The moment I checked into that hotel, I called my lawyer. Immediately. Adam thought he was smart. He thought he could hide everything. But a stupid email and his own carelessness with a phone call exposed it all. My lawyer told me that with the evidence of his secret apartment and the fact that he'd been lying to both me and Anna, we were looking at a favorable divorce settlement. Justice, finally, was going to be served. And let me tell you guys, here's the twist I really want to share, the one I think is karma in action. Turns out Adam's dad, the old man who passed away a few months ago, who was a huge stickler for family values and morals, had a special clause in his will. A substantial chunk of inheritance, a pretty big sum of money that Adam had always craved, would only be passed down if his children continued to live upright lives and didn't cause any scandals that would tarnish the family's reputation. Well, Adam can kiss that money goodbye now. This jerk isn't just paying for his shattered family, he's paying with his empty pockets. Serves him right. Then there's Anna, that poor girl in the apartment. Honestly, I'd mentally written her off, tried not to think about her again. But a few days after that night, I confronted Adam in my ex-mother-in-law's yard, and I got a text from an unknown number. It was Anna. She had no idea. She was a victim of Adam too. She was in tears, telling me how Adam had lied to her about our marital status. He'd told her we were already separated and in the process of getting a divorce, that he was just waiting for the right time. What a cowardly scumbag, lying to two women. Anna broke up with Adam immediately. Adam now literally has lost everything. His lies have come true. I'm actually filing for divorce from him now. Fate truly is ironic. My happy life was just gone. But the biggest pain, you guys, was seeing my kids shatter because of their dad's selfish actions. Liam, my 15-year-old, was furiously angry. Even though he wasn't there for the confrontation, he was sound asleep. But when he found out the next morning, he just couldn't accept that his dad was a liar. He kept asking me, "Mom, why would Dad do that? Doesn't he love us?" Chloe, my little princess, just moped around, scared and confused. She couldn't understand why, from now on, they'd only get to see their dad once a week. We all had to go to therapy, all three of us. It's a long road to healing, to help my kids understand it wasn't their fault, and that they still deserve genuine love. Adam's mom and brother, Robert, have stayed by my side and by their grandkids. They're just as furious and disappointed with Adam as I am. At least I know I'm not facing all of this alone. I still have family by my side. My life, my family, it was destroyed, but I've started rebuilding it, brick by brick. I got a promotion at work, which means more money to take care of my kids. More importantly, I feel proud of myself. I didn't crumble. I stood up. I'm spending every spare moment making it up to my kids. We've even planned a trip to Disneyland, a trip I hope will fill those painful voids with laughter and joy. Now I'm stronger than ever, and I'm going to make sure that my kids, my little angels, grow up in a family full of love, trust, and honesty, because that's the only thing we deserve. My friends, my life, the life I once thought was perfect, it utterly collapsed. Seriously, it was shattered by lies, by betrayal, and by what seemed like a harmless email. But you know what? I'm rebuilding it now. brick by brick. And this time, I'm gonna make sure it's stronger, more beautiful, and most importantly, much more authentic. I learned a brutal lesson. Trust your gut. That uneasy feeling in your stomach, that vague sense of dread, it's not just your imagination. It's a signal. Don't ignore it like I once did. And when the harsh truth hits, be brave enough to face it. No matter how much it hurts, no matter if it makes you want to just give up. Because only when you face it can you begin the healing process. Only then can you reclaim your life. I had to do it, and I don't regret it. It hurt like hell. It made me want to die, but it was the only path to finding my freedom. If you watching this video are going through something similar, trust me, you are not alone. So many people have faced and are facing the same kind of pain. Be strong, believe in yourself, and remember, you deserve a life full of love, trust, and honesty. Thank you for listening to today's story from Red Flag Radar channel. If this story resonated with you, please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more emotional, real-life stories and meaningful lessons. See you in the next video.